My name is Casey Jones. My student ID number is 3417644. This is for the VTHT 22-23 summer 2020 semester. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to perform the activated clotting time, a blood chemistry panel, a 4DX serologic test, as well as the direct smear heartworm analysis. For this video, I will be demonstrating how to perform the activated clotting time test to tell if the patient's able to actively clot their blood. I've got tubes incubating at 37 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes now, and I'm going to collect blood directly with the vacutainer into the tubes without any anticoagulant.
Everybody doing okay?
Okay, bud.
No. It's still.
Being a good sport. Okay.
I have a very non-cautious sister-in-law in Oregon who is around the kids like that. She's like, it's not that big of a deal. I said, I have a friend that died. That point, friend sounded better. Yeah. Well, they died from flu too.
There's my flash. And insert it in the tube. And it'll draw up about 2 milliliters of blood. I'm going to start my timer. Good kid. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just invert it once, wipe off a little bit of the excess around it, and replace it back in the incubator for about 60 seconds. I've got my timer going, and I'm going to come back and check and see if we've got a clot. And now that we are just about at the 60-second mark, I'm going to take my tube and invert and see if there is an active clot. Which I do not see one yet, so I'm going to put it back in there, and we're going to check about every 5 seconds. I'm going to wait 5 seconds here. Check again. And incubate again if I don't see a clot. Wait another 5 seconds. Perfect. And then this one's starting to form a clot here. So his activated clotting time is about a minute and 20 seconds. For this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to run a blood chemistry Chem 10 panel. I've got a whole blood sample as a pre-anesthetic in the tube that's pre-treated with heparin. I'm going to spin it down in our centrifuge in order to get the blood serum to use for the panel. Now that I've got our sample spun down, you can see where we've got the serum as well as with the red blood cells at the bottom. I'm going to use my syringe and draw up just the serum for our sample. Careful not to get any of the red blood cells from the bottom. Just a little bit more. Perfect. And then I'm going to insert our serum into our sample cup here. It's got some pre-marked lines for me that I just kind of aim to go between them. And I'll set that in the tray. I'm going to make sure that I've got enough of these sample pipettes here. And then I've got our clip, our pre-treated slide clip. And I'm then going to insert here. I'm going to close this then once we've got all of our samples needed. Press the button. My sample's already been ordered, so it's going to start running the timer, and then we'll come back and look at the results. Now that our test has finished running through for our Chem 10 chemistry panel, it does pull up the results here. Anything abnormal would show up kind of on the outside lines in red, saying it's not within the normal limits. Everything with Baxter all looks good within the normal limits. The doctors will review that. This is for a pre-anesthetic procedure, and so they would review and then move forward as needed. I'm going to demonstrate how to perform the 40x serologic test, testing for heartworm, Lyme, the anaplasma. I've got my whole blood sample treated with anticoagulant EDTA. I'm going to enter this into my pipette along with the reagent in order for me to place it on the snap test. I'm going to put 3 drops of blood into my sample, followed by 4 drops of my reagent. I'm going to cap it and invert it to mix a few times. And then I'm going to go ahead and place this in my snap test. And then allow time for that to start to move throughout the snap. I'm going to get my sample here ready. I'm going to start my timer for my 40x plus. And then once this reaches this top dot up here, I'll run my timer, and then we'll wait for that result to come in here.
She's a good dog. She's just nervous.
Almost there.
Let's see if we can walk over that way. You want Bob to Bob, Jake, take over. On your note there. I don't see anything at all right now.
All right, I've got that in there. I'm going to go ahead and snap it and start my timer. And then we'll come back as my timer is running for about 8 minutes. Now that our timer has gone off for our 8 minutes, it is reading our positive control here, which is then giving us a negative result, showing that there's no antigens, antibodies for those tick and flea-borne diseases. So I'm going to come over and just log it then into the computer that we had our negative result, and that'll save to the computer under the patient's file. This video, I'm going to demonstrate how to perform the heartworm direct smear analysis, where I am taking looking directly under the microscope at a direct drop of blood, looking for heartworm microfilaria. How that happens is I'm going to use my 2 applicator tips to get a drop onto the microscope slide, and then place a cover slip directly over. And then I'm going to review it under my microscope at the power of 10, just doing kind of a scan through, kind of like in a grid pattern, looking for any moving microfilaria. Use my 2 applicators to get a drop of blood on my microscope, on my microscope slide. I'm going to place a cover slip directly over top. Get this set up. And then once I get in focus, I'm going to go through kind of like a grid pattern, looking for the microfilaria. They'll typically be stable but kind of writhing around on the microscope slide. Perfect. And I am seeing none of the moving microfilaria as I just finish up here. And even though I am getting a negative result on here, this is a very small blood sample. I would want to actually run a full heartworm test or the modified knots test to actually fully see, just since this is such a small sample.